Greetings, YouTube! The Doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And today we are going to talk about the spell Prismatic Wall, or as it's been known in some other versions of this game, Prismatic Sphere. We're going to talk about the 2024 version and the changes that were made. Yes, it did get a buff. We are going to be comparing it to this, that is up here right now, which is the Legacy version. All of that, more, so stay tuned. All right, before we begin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. All right, let's go. So we've got Prismatic Wall here. This is the Legacy version. There is only one change that was made between this and the new version. But we want to go over this real quick. And back in the day, we gave this spell an S. It was a massive spell because there was so much you could do to move, particularly if you're using forced movement, to move creatures around and to get them to hit the wall. So when you hit the wall, you hit all 7 layers of the wall. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but all 7 layers of the wall here. All right. So it is a shimmering multicolored plane, 90 feet long, 30 feet high, 1 inch thick, centered on a point you can see within range, which is 60 feet. By the way, this is a 9th level spell. It takes an action. It lasts for 10 minutes, and it is usable by wizards, with some exceptions, of course. Alternatively, you could shape the wall as a sphere instead of a wall. So now it's not a wall, it's a sphere. Up to, and that's an important part, up to 30 feet in diameter. Up to. Doesn't have to be 30 feet, but it can be up to. So if you are looking for some defense and you've got compadres who can move people around, throw that wall up. So the wall sheds bright light out to a range of 100 feet and then dim light for another 100 feet. You and creatures designated at the time the spell can pass through the wall or remain near the wall without harm because of the next sentence. If another creature that can see the wall moves within 20 feet of it, it's got to make a saving throw or it's blinded for a minute. And that blinded is a full minute. It doesn't get a saving throw after all of its turns. It's 1 minute. The wall consists of 7 layers, each with a different color. When a creature attempts to reach in to or pass through the wall, it does so 1 layer at a time through all the wall's layers. So you apply each layer first. So we've got red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. The red, orange, yellow, green, and blue all do flat damage. So when it's 10d6 damage, and then there's a rider on each one of these on how to get rid of that layer of the wall, and you have to do them all one at a time, which means the red layer is the one that's on the outside, and you have to destroy it by doing at least 25 cold damage, and that gets rid of that one and only that one. So, it's important to go through the sentence up here, which says the wall can be destroyed also 1 layer at a time in order from red to violet, which means specific to each layer. Once a layer is destroyed, it remains so for the duration of the spell. Anti-magic field has no effect on the wall, and dispel magic can only affect the violet layer, which is the last layer. So it's cold damage, a strong wind like gust of wind spell, force damage, pass wall, fire damage, daylight, and a dispel magic. And the last 2 layers, the indigo layer, failed saving throw restraints, and the saving throw is a dexterity saving throw. So dex, 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 dex or restrained, and then it then has to make a constitution saving throw. If it fails 3 of those, it's petrified. And they're not consecutive, so it doesn't matter. It's just 3. The last one is blinded, and then it has to make a wisdom saving throw at the start of your next turn. On a success, it gets rid of the blinded. If it fails, it's transported to another plane of existence and gone. Okay, so those are the basics of this spell. So let's take a look at the new version of the spell. So really the only thing here that has changed is they've tightened up some of the language in the narrative space. So it still is a wall, or it's a sphere, a hemisphere. It still does the light thing with the blinding condition. It's still, now it says here the wall has an AC of 10 and can be destroyed one layer at a time. So the layers do not have hit points. So if you try to attack it, whatever you're attacking the wall with is going to be subject to all the different layers of the wall. But it does have an AC of 10, so that was not there before. And then it's still a dex saving throw. And then, now here's the big change. The big change is red, 12d6, orange, 12d6, yellow, 12d6, green, 12d6, blue, 12d6. It has added 2 dice of damage to every layer of the wall. Now, we gave this an S in May of 2024 when you originally went over this spell. This, I don't know how we can get, I mean, this is an S plus now, I guess. The indigo level has not changed. Still the same. It's still restrained and then petrified if they fail 3. And the violet is still blinded. And then if they fail, they're gone. They get teleported away. And all of the riders that get rid of those walls are essentially the same. So they've added on average 7 points of damage to each layer of the wall. If you fail all these saving throws, that's an average, that extra average 35 points of damage. Extra. That's extra. So before, this was going to be averaged 35 points of damage per failure. Now you can just add another 35 on top of that. Okay, so, I mean, I don't know how we can make this any better, but it is. All right, so let's talk about Advanced Dungeons & Dragons and where this spell started at, also known as First Edition Dungeons & Dragons, but to me it's Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. So this is the 1978 Player's Handbook, and here we have Prismatic's Fear. It is a 9th level spell, not a wall. This one is only a sphere, so these were separated out. So it had a very long duration, 10 minutes per level, very long, 2-inch diameter sphere, which is essentially like 20 feet, and a range of 0. So it only could go on you. And then it enables the magic user, because that's what wizards were called back then, to conjure up an opaque globe of shimmering, multicolored light. The scintillating sphere flashes all 7 colors. Any creature with fewer than 8 hit dice will be blinded. So there was a rider on what would happen and how powerful the creature. So creatures that are more powerful than 8 hit dice wouldn't be blinded. So basically, you go through, and the colors are of the sphere are as follows. But again, if you touch it, all of it happens. So the first layer prevents all non-magical missiles and inflicts 10 points of damage. The second layer prevents all magic missiles and inflicts 20. The third layer prevents poisons, inflicts 40 points of damage. And then it's negated by these spells. So Cone of Cold, Gust of Wind, Disintegrate, Pass Wall, Magic Missile, which this did 4. So this is kind of in the 5th edition and 2024 versions of the spells have kind of brought forward that tradition that Gary Gygax put down in the Player's Handbook. 5th, prevents location detection, save versus petrification, or be turned to stone. 6th, prevents all magical spells, save versus wand, or become insane with the daylight spell, getting rid of it. And force field protection, save versus magic, or be sent to another plane. So this one is gone. The insane one is gone. So if we look at the new version of the spell, non-magical range attacks cannot pass through, so that's the same. Magical range attacks can't pass through, so that was pretty much the same. This one didn't have any protection. This one has no protection. This one has no protection. This is where the insanity would happen. And then we've got the petrify, and we've got the teleport away. So those all kind of, the spirit of the spell has stayed the same. Now, if we go over to the illusionist section of this, we get Prismatic Wall, which is a 7th level spell only castable by illusion. So if you were an illusionist, you could cast this spell. It forms a wall, and it does the same exact thing as the sphere, except it's a wall. So they combine the two spells together. Both spells got combined together in 5th edition. So when did they actually get combined together? So let's look at 2nd edition. Here's 2nd edition. So again, we've got Prismatic Wall, which gives the descriptor of the spell. So now it has a range. And if we go in here and we look up to Prismatic Sphere, there's Prismatic Wall. There was no sphere. There was no sphere. So it was just Prismatic Wall. So you made the wall, and the wall essentially did the same. Now it's 20, 40, 80 points of damage. Save versus poison or die. And 20 points if you survive. Stops the location and you're petrified, go insane, or be sent to another plane. So those are a few changes from 1st edition to 2nd edition with more damage, but essentially the wall does the same. Now if we go to 3rd edition, we've got Prismatic Wall over here. It's an 8th level spell, standard action, wall. It had a range, and each color did a thing. The blindness is still in here with the rider on hit dice, and the wall can be destroyed consecutively. That is still there. And then here are the effects: 20, 40, 80 points of damage. Poison, kills, fortitude partial for 1d6 con damage instead. So if you made your save, you took con damage. Otherwise, you're just dead. Turn to stone, become insane, or creature sent to another plane. So that was the wall. We also had, there's the wall. We also had the sphere here. So these didn't actually get combined together until 5th edition. And the sphere was a range of 10 feet. So basically it was still on yourself. It was a 10-foot radius sphere. So there are some poignant things that have changed with these spells from 1st to 2nd to 3rd to 4th. From 1st to 3rd, indigo was always associated with insanity. In 5th edition, they changed that, and now indigo is now associated with the petrification. Blue was associated with turn to stone. They changed blue to be cold damage. So there was fire damage, acid damage, lightning damage, poison damage, cold damage. And in 3rd edition, there was fire, acid, and electricity. And poison. There was no acid in any of these. No acid. So acid was a recent addition to this, and they got rid of I don't know why they got rid of insanity in 5th edition, but for some reason they got rid of it. And so all of the negation things stayed the same. So if we look at the 5th edition version, red is cold damage. There's cone of cold. Orange is gust of wind. There's gust of wind. Yellow is disintegrate. This one is force damage. Now, if we look at yellow in 1st edition, got to go back to the 9th level version of this spell, Prismatic Sphere. It was a disintegrate. There it is right there. It's a disintegrate here. So yellow is a disintegrate versus yellow here is force damage. Green was destroyed by a pass wall. Green was destroyed by a pass wall. Blue was destroyed by fire damage. And blue here is destroyed by a magic missile. Now let's look at 3rd edition and see if they changed that. No, it's still magic missile. So blue changed. which I'm not sure why they did that. And then Indigo was a daylight spell. Indigo here was a daylight spell, and first edition was a continual light, which is essentially a daylight spell. And then lastly, Dispel Magic for the 7th one, Dispel Magic for Violet. And then in the 3rd edition one, it's Dispel Magic. So for the most part, a lot of these mechanics flowed across the game to go from 1st edition to 5th edition and then to 2024. Biggest difference between 5th edition and 2024, we got more damage. That is the biggest one. All right, that is what I have for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.